Hey there, and welcome aboard. So, I want you to think of your new team as the mission crew for a pretty complex rocket launch. Over the next few minutes, we're going to give you the blueprint, the real inside scoop, to understand exactly who does what. Why? So that our mission together is a massive success. And let's get real about the stakes right from the get-go, because this quote says it all. When a rocket launch fails, it's hardly ever because the parts were bad. Nope. It's usually because the crew wasn't on the same page. Role confusion, it just leads to chaos, wasted effort, and, well, mission failure. And that is exactly what we are here to prevent. So here's our flight plan for this little explainer. First, we'll look at why things can go wrong. Then, we'll meet the key players on our crew. We'll break down the roles of the architect, the team in mission control and assembly, and a really special role for autonomous systems. And then we'll wrap it all up with a full debrief. Sound good? Let's go. All right, let's dive into the problem we're all trying to solve, the absolute chaos of a misfire. You can think of it like this. Unclear roles are just like a bunch of tangled wires in the command center. Seriously, it's the single biggest threat to a successful launch. When a mission does fail, it almost always comes back to one of these four areas. If nobody clearly owns the strategy, the rocket is aimed at the wrong star. Simple as that. If no one owns execution, the parts just never get assembled. If no one's in charge of the process, the assembly line is just slow and messy. And, you guessed it, without an owner for delivery, that beautiful rocket never even makes it to the launch pad. So yeah, clear ownership is everything. So how do we avoid all that chaos? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. We make sure you know your mission crew. So let's flip this around, focus on the solution, and meet the key players who make sure our rocket not only gets built, but actually reaches its destination. Okay, so before we meet everyone by name, let's get a quick high-level briefing on their functions. You've got different roles that own the why, the whole purpose of the mission. Others own the when, the launch schedule. Then you have the next, the immediate priorities. And finally, the flow, just keeping the whole operation efficient. Each one is totally distinct, and every single one is absolutely critical. Okay, let's start with our most strategic role, the person who designs the entire mission from the ground up. This is the one who decides where we're going and why. So meet the product manager, who we call our mission architect. Their job isn't just to design a rocket. It's to make absolutely sure we're building the right rocket to get to the right planet. They're the ones answering the big, hairy questions, like, why are we going to Mars instead of Venus? And what exact features does this rocket need to survive that journey and land in one piece? And if you were to look at their blueprint, you'd see these core responsibilities. The mission architect defines the vision. That's our destination star. They map out the roadmap, all the key milestones on our journey. They do the research to understand what we're flying into. And, maybe most importantly, they define what success even looks like. What does a perfect landing actually mean? So, what this all boils down to is one single, constant question. The mission architect is always asking this. Every decision, every feature, every priority, it all gets measured against this one standard. If it doesn't create real value, well, it doesn't belong in the blueprint. Now, a blueprint is fantastic, but it's still just a plan on paper, right? It won't get you to space. So let's meet the execution crew. These are the folks in mission control and on the assembly line who turn that drawing into a real, launch-ready rocket. First up, we have the product owner, our chief quartermaster. They manage the entire inventory of every single task and feature. We call it the product backlog. Think of it as a complete list of every single nut, bolt, and computer chip needed to build the rocket. Their critical job is to look at the architect's plan and decide which part we need to build right now to make the most progress. Next out, meet our head of mission control, the Scrum Master. Here, we use a process called Scrum to work in short, efficient cycles. Now, the Scrum Master isn't a boss. They're the team's coach and protector. Their whole job is to make sure the assembly process is running at peak efficiency. They remove any obstacles, like a missing tool or a confusing instruction, so the team can just focus on building. And finally, we have the launch director, who is our project manager. Okay, so once the rocket is actually being put together, the launch director owns that final countdown. They manage the timeline, the budget, all the moving parts, to make sure we hit our launch window and deliver the finished rocket right on schedule. And this is how it all flows together. It all starts with the architect defining the destination. That goal then flows to the quartermaster, who prioritizes all the parts. That list goes to the assembly team, where mission control keeps everything running smoothly. And finally, the launch director takes that finished rocket and manages the timeline to get it off the ground. See? It's a clear, logical sequence from idea all the way to liftoff. All right, now for something really interesting. Let's talk about a very special role for a very special kind of mission. What happens when the rocket has to fly itself? This is where our autonomous systems officer comes in. So here's the key difference you got to understand. A traditional rocket software does exactly what you tell it to do. It's predictable. But an AI system, well, it's probabilistic. That means it learns, it makes its own decisions based on probabilities, and sometimes it can be wrong. This introduces a whole new level of risk and responsibility. And because of that risk, the AI product manager, our autonomous systems officer, has a totally unique job. They're not just focused on the mission's goal, they are obsessed with validating the trust and safety of the AI itself. They're managing data quality, they're hunting for bias, and they are making sure that the AI is not only effective, but fundamentally safe out there in the real world. And this right here, this slide really hits the nail on the head. Your standard product manager is asking, are we building the right rocket? But the AI product manager, they have to ask a much, much heavier question. Is this self-piloting rocket safe? Is it trustworthy? And is it actually useful when it encounters the wild, unpredictable real world? It's a huge difference. Okay, we have officially met the entire crew. So now let's bring it all together for one final debrief, so you can walk away from this with a crystal clear picture of who owns what. This table right here, this is your ultimate cheat sheet. It puts everything we just talked about in one place. You can see each role, its mission title, what its core focus is, and the key question that drives everything they do. From the architect's focus on value to the launch director's focus on delivery, every role is distinct and every role is essential. Look, if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this. Our mission architect, the product manager, owns the outcome. Did we successfully solve the problem? Whereas our launch director, the project manager, owns the delivery. Did we ship on time and on budget? Outcome versus delivery. It's a crucial distinction. And just to lock it all in, remember these 3 points. The quartermaster, our product owner, owns the day-to-day priorities. The head of mission control, our Scrum Master, owns the health and flow of the team's process. And our autonomous systems officer, they own the profound responsibility that comes with artificial intelligence. And there you have it. You've got the full mission blueprint. You know the crew, you know the roles, and you definitely know the stakes. So, the only question left is the one we have for you. What part of this mission will you own? Welcome to the team. We're thrilled to have you.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and click the notification button for more great content.